Hello. Today I'm going to introduce you to 8 essential yoga postures. These are the foundational yoga postures that you will find in every yoga classes that you practice around the globe. And I say every yoga instructor will include one or all of these yoga postures in their class. So it's really good that you learn them in a right way and try to take and carry on the feeling of these postures that you practice with me here into the classes if you have to attend the classes. You can also stick watching the YouTube and my channel to learn more about these practices. So let's begin in sitting cross-legged if you can. Just finding a comfortable position is the key part. You could sit cross-legged, or you could sit the way I was sitting earlier, or you could even sit with your legs straight in the front. Whichever makes it comfortable for you to sit. Now, let's say this is too difficult. You're finding all these, you know, tightness in the area. You can actually just put a pillow and then sit on top of this. Now, let's just sit straight and center our mind, focus our breath on our breath, and center ourselves first, so that when we start these practices, we are more aligned and we are more directing our awareness towards ourself, our body, and to the movements that we're going to perform today. Let's sit with your arms relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Try to elongate your spine. Let's take 5 deep breaths through your nose. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. If you find it difficult to breathe through your nose, you can slowly open your mouth and try to breathe in through your mouth. Ideally, we should inhale from the nose, even if the breathing is shallow. And let's take one more breath. And breathe out. Now slowly open your eyes as we begin. The first posture that I'd like to introduce you is done in standing. You will see these postures, as I said earlier, in every yoga postures. Nearly every move begin with this particular position, and it's a backward movement. Okay, so let's begin. Come on your feet, and I'll show you first, then I'll tell you what exactly it's happening in this position, so that you can feel and do not just depend on the look, the way I look, because everybody looks different. We are all different. So rather looking at me, how I bend and where I bend from, try to feel this in your body. Okay, so I'll just show you what it looks like. The position is this, where your hands are joined in the front, and then I'm going to raise my arms over the head. And my goal is to reach my arms back, and that will carry my spine. And then I bring my arms forward, and that brings my spine back. Okay, so it's always a reverse movement. Do not try to attempt to go how far you can, how good you look, and all that. It's not necessary. Okay, so the position is like this. You will stand with your feet together and keeping your big toes and the little toes spread, all the weight on those 5 toes on the right and left, and then keep the weight on your heels. Right, so you're making a tripod of this. Then you join your hands right in front of your chest. That's it. Now, from here, depending on your flexibility level, of course, keeping your legs tight together, knees are together, thighs are together. Now, at this point, you're going to keep your hands in front. Inhale as you raise your arms over your head, and you continue inhaling as you let the spine carry over. And then as you exhale, come back in. We're going to repeat this a few times. So inhale, Reach your arms up and let the spine follow. And exhale as you come back in. Now, it doesn't matter how far you go, it's the feeling that you need to worry about, yes? So make sure your feet are planted, you have a slight tightness in your legs, so your lower body becomes stiffer, so the upper body can become bendier, right? We want to be flexible on the top part, so we stiffen the lower part of the body. Let's join the hands here. So as I inhale, I keep my legs firm, slightly tightening up these areas, and then raising the arms over the head, and then extend the spine. And then as I exhale, come back in. As you're practicing with me, you should notice that there's some stretch happening in the abdomen area, and you feel a little bit of contraction or some activation in this back area. There's no pain in the lower back as such. If you feel it, you're just going too far, right? So how far can you go? It really depends on three factors. Number one is the breathing, that when you go to the point, you will stop breathing. It's going to kind of jam you. So that means you went too far. Second is you're having pain. So if you're bending backwards and if you have pain in the back, that's you went too far. So then stop going that far. Just stop halfway, right? And the third one is the muscular or joint limitations, that a person who is younger, spine is much younger, they could actually go further back. So their joint are supple, their muscles are much more stretchier, right? So they can stretch better and they can go far. So as I said earlier, we cannot depend on how we look in the postures. We have to feel the postures, and then we are doing it correctly, right? And this is also safe for long term. So that was our first posture. It's called the arm raise pose. Let's repeat one more time, or a few more times if you like this. So just tighten up your lower part. So below your pelvis, everything else is stiff and tight. And then raise your hands, and then just stretch your arms back. And then exhale to come back in. So that's the position. So remember the feeling. It should feel like stretching all this part in the front from here, anywhere where it's tight, and kind of activation in your upper back under the scapula. So you feel that, and that means you're doing it correctly. Okay? Since nobody's watching you, you will have to make sure that you feel and do it correctly, right? So the next posture is the counter pose of this, right? This is the second posture. We call Padhastasana. So from here, you're going to keep your feet together once again, and then as your hands come back into the front, you're going to lean forward. So I'll show you how it looks like. And then bring your hands on the floor. If you cannot bring your hands on the floor, you have to bend your legs at your knees. And then bring your head in. Then inhale, lift, keep your back straight, and come all the way up. So this is your second posture, okay? So let's do this together. Hands in front of your chest, inhale. And as you exhale, just lean forward and try to hinge from your hips. Try to keep your back as straight as you can. If you can't, then you bend your legs at your knees. The back will straighten up automatically. Now, the back can only be straight to a certain point, right? After that, it's going to bend on its own. Don't even try to keep it straight. Just bend forward and then bring your hands down. And just, you need to make sure that your head comes in as well. So your entire body is stretching, the back of your body. You can also try to straighten the legs a little by little. It's not compulsory, but you can try. And then come back up. And stand upright. Now we talk about the feelings, right? In this posture, you should feel your abdominal muscles are activating. They are contracting. So it's the reverse position. You should also feel some kind of stretch and a little bit of pain in this area. These muscles are stretching, and that's normal. So these are the feelings that you have to rely on. If you feel, for some reason, if you feel when you bend forward, you have a pain in the back, that is a little strange, right? So if you're bending forward and you're having pain in the back, you must bend your knees and then come down. And altogether, if a movement hurts you, you have to avoid that movement because there is something fundamentally going wrong. And that we will address in different videos, but you have to stop those positions and try to skip them for time being, okay? Or consult a doctor or a proper, or some yoga teachers, who have a knowledge about this. So let's keep the feet together. Let's give it a go. Inhaling. And then exhale as you lean forward. As close as you can get to your thighs. And then bring your hands down on the floor. If you cannot get any further, let's say you're stuck here, just bend the legs at your knees. So your head comes close to your knees. You can also try and straighten the leg as far as feel comfortable. Now the purpose of keeping your hands on the floor so that you can push into the floor and push your hips up at the same time. And then lift yourself up and then come back upright. Now as you do this repeatedly, you'll become flexible and your body will kind of give you the way. I mean, it's not in one time that you're going to be whoop all the way down. It's going to take its time, and that's fine, and that's even better, okay? So this way you will not injure yourself, your muscle will get warmed up. So come back up. Don't force there, do not bounce in and try to, get flexible in just one round. Just get up and repeat this process. Every time you do this, you'll become flexible, right? So inhaling again. As you exhale, hinge from your hips first, and then continue going down. Bring your hands on the floor. Now, if you feel that you are in this position right here, and that's really okay, as long as you feel a good stretch in the back portion of your body all the way, whichever area is tight, that's good news. And then when you want to come up, you lift your spine first, hands come, and then using your hips to come all the way up and stand up. Right? So this is our second position that I'd like you to practice. This is a very common position which is done regularly in most of the yoga classes. Let's come to the third position here. Start with the third position. Now, if you are bending forward here, then you can step one of the leg back. Now, it doesn't matter how far you step in one go, and then you can move your leg back. It depends on your flexibility. Now, you can push back and push your knee forward slightly over your toes so that you can feel some stretch. Now, the stretch should be felt in this area and this area. This is where you feel usually in these positions. You can be on your fingertips. You can also be on your palms like this and looking forward. Now this is called equestrian pose. So like riding a horse and just looking forward. You're always looking forward, your back is straight. Again, as I said, the feeling is stretching here and stretching here on both sides. So very common posture, the foundation posture you will see in most of the yoga classes. And it's very important that you practice this. Okay, now to come back, you can step forward and then step back. Now, if this transition is a bit challenging for you, I'll give you a better option. So push your knee forward. Your right knee comes slightly over your toe and you look front. Make sure you do not go over. You push your back leg back and front leg forward. And then look front. Hands are firm and you should feel the stretch in your thigh here, a little bit here. Depends on which muscle is tighter in your case. There should be no pain in the back, right? If you feel pain in the back, that means your leg is too far. So you need to adjust it a little bit in the front. So always rely on the feeling. This should feel like a stretch in your thighs. Now, if you don't feel any stretch in these areas, that means you have overstretched or you're flexible enough. So there is no point constantly pushing into this position. It should be just a simple transition move that you use it to do any kind of yoga postures that your teacher tells you to, right? So now, as I mentioned earlier, that if that transition from standing is difficult, you can also do this from here. So let's step your right leg forward, put your hands down, and then you can walk your knee back. Bring your knee over your toe, slightly forward, so you have your ankle mobility here, right? This should stretch your ankle. Now, don't do too much that, things start to kind of collapse. So you have to stay in control. You push the knee forward over the toe and push the left leg backward, all right? And then you look front. This is your equestrian pose. And then come back, and then you switch sides. Pushing your left knee over the toe and right knee back. Now this position is done with inhalation to look up. You can also look forward. And when you stay in the position, of course, you're breathing normally, since these postures are meant to be held for a little longer. Okay, let's come back in. Now, the fourth position here is the plank or Utpalak Asana, where your hands are under the shoulders and your legs are in the back like this. Your feet should be together. There is really no much correction in this position. There's only one and only one thing that you have to know about the plank, that all the muscles in the body, from your calf, your quads, your thigh muscles, your buttocks, your abs, your chest, and your back muscles, they should all be contracted at the same time. And that's what makes a plank, which means a wooden plank which is stiff. Simple as that, right? So stiffen every part of the body. All your muscles should be tight as you hold this position. You should be able to breathe, of course. And then bring your knees down. Right? Let's practice this. So, your shoulders on top of your wrist, legs are stretched as far as possible, and they are straight. You're on your toes. Push the heels back, pull up your kneecaps, abs, buttocks. Push into the floor to activate your chest, and look front to activate your back. And then press into the floor to activate your arms. Hold the position. And then drop your knees. The fifth position is called the Chaturanga Dandasana, the stiff pose, which is done exactly like plank, but in this you will be bending your elbows. You can also do it in a forearm, but this is how this pose is actually done. So you keep your hands here, look front, you take a big breath in, and then on the exhalation, hold the breath after you exhale. And then inhale, come back and relax. Now, of course, this is not the real one, right? This is the small version of it. You can do this with the knees down and keep your knees back and then lower your body. And come back up. The formula is same, that you have to stiffen every part of your body when you're going down. Now, as you hold the position. Now, there is no right or wrong way of doing it, okay? So, it's about the strength. So you inhale, exhale, and you hold. Tighten all your muscles, and then lower your elbows on the side. and then come back up, drop your knees, and relax. So this is the another posture that you will most commonly see. Either is done in a full form or in a short form. Okay? So as I mentioned earlier, let's try this together. We'll do all the variations together. So straight. First, drop your knee. That's your first option. You're going to bend your elbow just a tiny bit and stiffen every part of the body, including your chest, your shoulders, all of it. And then come back and release. If you need to relax, shake your hands, shake your wrist, do that, and then come back up. In the next round, we'll try with the knees up. So depend on your progression, you have a choice to make here. You can drop down and push, and then come back, and then relax. Shake your wrist, right? Shake your arms if you need. Since this is all about strength, there is no way that someone can actually teach you how to do it correctly. You will have to build the strength. If you can't do this, you don't have a fundamental strength in your arms, shoulders, core, and the whole body. And that takes time to build. It's not going to happen in 1 or 2 days or a week or month. It will take longer. So for now, you can stay with a simpler option. As you become strong, you'll be able. But I had to introduce you to this posture because you're going to experience this in the classes, right? So that's how you practice and slowly build over time. Now, you can break it down, build different muscles, and then come and try again. That we will do it in the next video. So if you have any questions or any comments for me, or you really want to learn further into this, you have to write me a comment so that I see that you're interested, and I'll make another video how you can improve strength to get this fundamental position. Okay. Now, the next position is really the one that's rewarding, and that is to sit on the heels and stretch the arms forward. We call it child's pose. Now, don't go into all the details of knee should be wide, knee should be closed, right? There is a different purpose. The knees are wide if somebody have a very hunched back. Knees are closed if somebody have a very arched back. So your teacher will modify this for you, but from now, if you have your back that is overly arched, then you keep your knees together. Hands will be forward. To prevent any strain in your neck, never touch the elbow to the ground. Just reach your arms forward and try to stretch. Lower your head with your arms straight. And this is the posture that you will find in most of the classes. And roll all the way up to sit up straight. Let's try this once again. Inhale. And as you exhale, walk your hands forward. Keep on stretching your arms as long as you can. Do not touch your elbows to the ground, and just drop your head if you can. And don't worry about sitting down on your heels and all that. Just don't be here. Right? You can't control it. Your body will tell you where you will be. So just stay back as much as possible, and your hands are used to push you back. And then your head drops. Now we're moving into the next position. So your hands will be wide here and moving your body weight forward. Now this is a posture that is very commonly given in every classes. Let's push the hips, knees up and hips up. So your hands are wide and you have to lift your hips up, and then if you can, lower your heels. It doesn't matter if you can, but this is what's going to happen, that sometimes you won't be able to drop the heels, and that's all right. Just soft knees, focus on the first element, which is the upper back, right? Do not collapse into the elbow. This is bad for the elbow joint. So just keep your arms straight and just push your hips up. The hips, the pelvis goes up. That's it. You're already getting a stretch. And stay there and just breathe. And drop all the way down. So the feeling about this posture, you should feel the stretch in these muscles, your calf stretching, a little bit stretch in your hamstring, depends on how tight it is. You feel some strain coming in your shoulder, feel the strain. It's different. The stretching is painful, strain is kind of tiring. So you understand the difference between the two. So your arm should feel a little bit tiring. You should feel kind of decompression in your spine, like kind of it's kind of straightening up. So these are the feeling that you mostly rely on. Okay, try to do in a way that you can bring this feeling into the position. And if your heels can touch down and you have no stretch, no pain whatsoever, you have accomplished the yoga pose. So, and it happens actually with most of the yoga teachers who are now professionals and have been doing yoga for many years, and even the students. So depends on how your day is, you will always feel some sort of pain and stretch. If you ran 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers and came and did this position, no matter who it is, it will still feel the stretch in that person's leg. So, there's just no perfection. This is just becoming aware of your body, letting your muscles stretch as they can, and have an optimum joint range of motion so that you can do your normal work and without any injuries. So I'll show you one more time. The position is, there are many ways you can go into this pose, but we start just by keeping the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and then we lift the pelvis up. And that's it. And just keep lifting your pelvis high as you can with the hands pushing forward. Right? If you can slowly lower the heels, good. Now drop your knees and come down. So that position is called downward facing dog. And as I told you earlier, the feeling is that what you need to rely on. Okay, you should feel a good stretch in the right places. Now, the last position here is called the upward facing dog. You could have some variations to try, or we could, I will show you some variations here. So first, the starting point is to do this position correctly. It usually starts from, so you have your toes either tucked under or pointed. So I'll do with the toes tucked under, feet could be together, and then inhale as you lift the face, chest, and then continue lifting up. You lift up until your arms are straight, and then you lift your knees and try to push your body weight forward, and then you look up, kind of stretching in a forward direction. Now, if you notice you're standing on your toes and on your hands at this point, and if you feel the pressure is on your back, and if your back is hurting, especially the lower part of your back, it tells the story that your abdominal muscles are not strong enough. So that's why they're not supporting the lower portion of the spine, or you have hypermobility in that area. That's why you have a pressure and pain. So as I said, in the very first position, when you are bending backward and if it hurts your back, it's not good to continuously doing that, because if you did that, it's going to create micro trauma and injury in the area. So be very mindful that the position that hurts you are not exactly bad position for you, but you shouldn't be doing them to such um, an extent that they start hurting you. So you could do a little bit of easier version, or just back off a little bit. So if you were to do the same position again, and if your back was hurting, instead of going on your toes, just stay down on your knees and toes. So then you can look up. And this will reduce a lot of pressure from your back. And you can still get the same feeling of a stretch in your chest area, abdominal area, but more of an activation of your hands. That's what we're looking for, to strengthen our arms. and then you go back. So usually a counter pose, which is a child's pose, which is done very often. If you remember, with your hands reaching forward, you push back, your body pushes back, and the head goes down. Now, from this position, we will move up into the downward facing dog. The position we did earlier here, where we push through the hands, the pressure is on your arms, decompressing your spine, and it's kind of pressing your heels down if you can. You should feel good pressure on your hands, compression of your spine, and also feel good amount of stretch in this area. And then we just push into it and take a couple of deep breaths. This is all counter postures for you. And then we drop the knees and come back upright, right? So those are the 8 essential yoga postures that you will encounter in nearly every yoga class that you practice. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to write me, okay? And if you need any of the help, any kind of questions that you have that may arise, like when I do this posture, my back hurts. When I do this hurts and that hurts. So it's good that I know what's going on and I can help you out answering these questions. Now, before we go, I'll give you one bonus pose, which is also an essential pose, which we usually find in most of the classes. Usually they finish the class with this particular pose. Okay, this is an essential pose, which is not difficult also, right? Foundational, which means you have to learn them to do it correctly. And it's again about how you feel in these positions. So to do this, you're going to lay on your back. We call it bridge pose. Let's hold on to the feet like this. Just touching is good enough. And lift your pelvis. Lift it so high that it comes almost in line with your knee. And then from here, you can press into your hands, kind of shoulders back, and then try to lift the chest a little. So the whole body is coming up, except your hands, shoulders, and feet. So keep lifting, pushing up. None of this should hurt your back. So you should feel a good stretch in front of your thighs. Feel some activation of your leg muscles here, a little bit here. Your back muscles are activating. Your arms, you'll feel some tightness, or sorry, some contraction and activation in your triceps. And keep pressing that and feel. So this is very important that you feel in the posture when you push. And then you relax, roll all the way down. Now at the end of the posture or end of the class, it's important that you relax yourself with your legs apart, hands apart, and like a dead corpse, just shavasana, where you lose the entire body into the ground, letting go and relax. And you can stay there as long as you like. Try to focus on deep breathing and letting go. To come out of this position, fold your legs at your knees, hug your knees to your chest, and roll yourself up and sit up straight. Thank you for joining, and I hope you like this video. And if you do, please make sure to like and share, and also comment if you have any questions regarding any of the yoga postures that you're currently doing and are hurting you, and you want to improve. Okay. Thank you once again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.